I'm telling you, as somebody that knows the history of the people that you speaking about, leave niggas alone, especially that will shoot your Christian.
Oh wow, shoot my Christian. Better. So you inviting violence, you're trying to egg it on, and you would never in a billion years say that about a Jewish or a Muslim person. I know you wouldn't. And you still talking about me on your podcast, but I guarantee you don't want to talk to me because I think you fear that would end up making you look real bad. It's something about the light in me that's irritating something inside of you because all I'm doing is talking about accountability in the culture, and here you are inviting violence, showing religious disrespect, and just moving with anger and cockiness.
All right, so first of all, I think it's a good thing that Joe Budden and all these different outlets are talking about what Dee-1 is doing. I think that's awesome. Yep. Even if they don't agree, I think the best conversation I saw was with Dee-1 and Turk from Hot Boys fame.
Yeah.
Turk
on Beehive.
I got Beehive. Their discussion to me was a good discussion. Turk was kind of cautious about what Dee-1 was doing, but Dee-1 explained himself and they went back and forth. That was great. Yeah. I think that same discussion needs to happen on the Joe Budden podcast. That's the first comment I made under Joe Budden's video was bring him on. Because I think that you put Dee-1 in front of you, you're going to be wild about what he says. Like I'm telling you, we've seen it over time and time again. Like he's just so good at communicating his point. That needs to happen. So whoever's behind the scenes, Parks, whatever, make that happen. Get him on that show. What do y'all think about this back and forth between them?
I mean, okay, watching that clip, part of me, I may be a villain for this, but I don't think Joe was necessarily saying that he wants people to kill him or he wants people to. I think he's saying that I personally know the people that you're talking about, they will do this. I don't think he's threatening Dee-1.
Yeah. Here's the one thing I don't know if Dee-1 knows, but this just happened to Joe. He just got attacked.
Yeah.
So I think he's speaking from no, seriously.
Like I know this.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah. That's what I got from it. When I saw it, I was like, he ain't threatening you, bro. He's kind of warning you, like, yo,
this will happen.
This could happen to you. Or you keep talking
about
this dude.
I do think Dee-1 is right, though, is that his mentality is, you shouldn't do this. But Dee-1 is like, no matter what comes, I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing it for a bigger reason. I'm not doing it for the reason you think I'm doing it for. I'm doing it for God. So come what may, right? But you talking about that is what's gonna stir that kind of activity.
I see what you mean. Like they could have be Rick Ross could have be like, oh, he a hater.
Yeah.
And
right.
Your responsibility, Joe, is to be like, yo, leave him alone.
Yeah.
You have power in this. You're not just a bystander.
I'm gonna be real with you. So many people come up on Sway. What made them respond? They didn't have to respond. You can see stuff
That's
about.
Fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like you think about. I think about Jay-Z, right? Jay-Z gets probably shots at all the time, or Nas, or whoever.
Right.
If they don't respond, they make that person like disappear.
Yeah, it's
Beyonce,
not relevant. It's
like
not relevant.
It make it disappear.
Yeah.
And then when I saw Rick Ross respond and Jim Jones, I was like, y'all making him bigger. Yeah. Honestly, you know what I'm saying?
Well, it gives the topic power. Yeah. Like if a lot of times people just won't respond to stuff because if you don't respond to stuff, then there's no weight to it.
You cut the head off the snake when you don't respond to people.
Exactly. You know the answer is that this bothered them. This bothered Jim Jones. This bothered Ross.
It's annoying. Yeah.
And what's interesting is when you guys were talking about this, we didn't actually show what Meek Mill said.
Yeah.
Meek Mill was affected by this. You could tell.
Really?
He was the only one that didn't respond with that same energy as them. I think in Meek Mill's mind, he was like, "Dang, he got me."
No, I think he's right. I think
Meek Mill was like, "You got me."
Because the first time I've heard somebody question Meek Mill with the whole situation was Kanye. When Kanye was like, "How you gonna do?"
Yeah, he's doing prison reform. Yeah.
He's still rapping about stuff that's
sending people to prison.
Yeah. And I think Meek Mill is getting to a place because, like I said, we saw him on. I think we talked about this, he was on a platform and he was talking about how he doesn't, the label don't want him to talk like this on his music, so this is his free for all to talk how he really shared.
Yeah.
And I feel like he deep down knows what he's talking about. Like, yo, that could be right. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, but even if that's the case, I do believe Joe was simply just warning him.
Yeah.
But Joe has a bigger responsibility.
Yeah.
Like,
don't put that in the air.
You can be part. There's people with big names that are in D1's comments like, yo, don't nobody touch this dude.
Yeah.
Don't nobody touch this dude. And you have the cachet to say, I don't care if it's true or not.
Promote peace.
From here, nobody touch this kid. He's safe.
Yeah.
The problem is Joe don't have the street pull to do that, but he still has the cachet.
I mean, I think he does.
I mean, social-wise.
like on the street.
I do want to say this though. I think the era of people thinking that men are weak in the church, y'all got to stop that.
Yeah, D1 got friends too.
There's too many people we've interviewed over the years that love the Lord, but they got backgrounds that were on some John Wick, on some Equalizer type stuff.
Real,
like if you activate that in them, they don't want that to happen. And we're not talking like tough guys. I'm just saying there's people like we've talked to a pastor who used to be a Latin king. We've talked to people who are Reformed Bloods and Crips. We talk. You don't know. Y'all acting like these people, men in churches, or they ain't gonna do anything if you try to harm them. But and I'm not trying to put it out there like that. But I'm just saying.
You're kind of doing a Joe right now. But even worse than that, he's not by himself.
Yeah, he's
like
not.
I'm not talking about humans. Like he's not by himself. These people have no power over what God can do. Like seriously, if we talking tough, whatever Jim Jones is saying to you behind the scenes, or his people saying behind the scenes, they puppies in this thing. Like God can knock out all of that. So I just think his responsibility is, no matter, you could say, talking about saying stuff privately, you send that message to him privately, but on your platform, you say, leave this kid alone. That's all Joe should be saying. That's your responsibility.
These are his friends.
He needs to say that.
These are his friends.
Anybody that has power in this, that you know D1 is right. You know in your heart that he's right about what he's saying. Even if he didn't follow protocol, your job is to get on there and say, leave him alone.
Right.
He's safe.
Because in doing that, you're not.
You got to do that.
You're not necessarily. If I'm Joe Budden, you're not necessarily saying that he's right. But if you put out a blanket statement of, hey, leave him alone, I don't want anything to happen to him, let him say what he's going to say, by default, you're kind of agreeing, because I think that everyone can agree that D1 is right. Like, I don't think that
everybody knows he's right.
Yeah, I don't think he's pushing an agenda that people are like, oh, no, I don't agree with this, right? We should not be trying to, I'm going to use Meek Mill, we should not be trying to be an advocate for prison reform, right? But then also rapping about how you kill people and how your youngins get sent to prison, right? So I think we can all agree that D1 is on the right page. But I think Joe Budden's place, if he still wants to be amicable with his friends or look like he's still on their side, whatever, he doesn't have to say, D1's right. All he has to say is, hey, leave him alone. Like, I don't. No one touches him.
I didn't get the sense that he was trying to do this for his friends. I literally get the sense that this has happened to him multiple times.
But I think that's the warning. That's what I'm saying. I felt like he was coming. I felt like Joe was coming from a warning place of saying, "Hey, you talk about people. There's repercussions of you talking about people when they see you. It's not going to be front and game. It's not going to be let's talk. It's going to be like somebody going to try to harm you or shoot at you."
What I don't think Joe gets is D1 already knows that. He's been doing this for years. This is not. I think he's talking to. I think he's talking to D1 like, young man, you don't know what you're doing. He knows what he's doing. Bring him on the show. Let him tell.
They thought he was a podcaster, so technically they don't even know who D1 is. Like they didn't. They didn't do research on him.
I'll say this. I think D1 is shaking up hip hop game. I think he's doing it. I think I would love to. I can't wait till he comes here, because I have some questions I want to ask him, because I feel like I think my first question would be, how do you have people? What's the standard for these people without Jesus? I think that's one of my questions, because we're asking people to be good, do better if they don't know how to do better. You get what I'm saying? Like, in essence, to me and personally, I'm saying this. We could tell somebody, hey, man, pull up your pants, or, hey, man, stop rapping this thing. But until they see a way for them to really do it successfully from their standards, it's just going to continue to be them.
I don't even think D1 is talking about Christianity at all. That's
what I'm saying. He's talking about hip hop, period.
I don't even think he's...
Or black men in general.
I think this is simply, you know what's going on. You know you're making music simply for
it's hypocritical.
A business. You're being exploited and you're going along with it. Stop doing that. That ain't got nothing to do with Jesus and nothing. You as a man know that you're faking this. Stop. That's the call out.
Yeah.
That don't got nothing to do with you being a Christian.
The reason I'm saying Christian because he did use Christian terminology like God said you
because
being
that's
lukewarm.
the actual truth.
Yeah.
That's the actual truth.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, lukewarm in the Bible, he's talking about Christians being lukewarm. You know what I mean?
But I think what he's tapping into is, again, we said it before, a lot of these people are church kids.
Yeah.
They know better.
Yeah.
Right.
They're playing the game. And we talked about the games in the industry earlier before y'all came along with us here. But they're playing the industry game, which means if you want to make money, there's certain things you got to do.
Right.
Yeah.
He's basically telling them, stop doing that.
Yeah.
Don't play that game because people's lives are at stake. Stop doing that. To me, that you don't have to be a Christian to get that message.
I get that part. Yeah, I get that part.
He's just calling them out for being hypocrites. Like, and I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think you have to be Christian or be some upstanding in the church every Sunday to realize you can't talk about one thing and then live a different way and expect people to do the thing that you're talking about when you live a certain way.
Or when your kids are going to private school and nice kids and you're
promoting the
you
complete
know you're
opposite.
playing a game.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what about our guy Judon? He said, why doesn't Dee-1 just leave them alone? Nobody asked him about those guys. He can talk about the issue without calling out names.
That's what Joe said too.
It's hypocritical of him to call out them but have game on a song.
Yeah. We kind of talked about that. You want to go check out the video on when we talked about Dee-1 changing it's on there. I kind of agree with that because the game is probably in the same boat as them, but I think he has a personal relationship with Game because I think he used to work with Game back in the day. I think he talked about before, like and stuff. So I mean, I don't know.
I think it's just philosophy.
Yeah.
It's we could disagree on the methods.
Yeah.
You may not think Dee-1 is going about it the right way.
Yeah.
But Dee-1 is not wrong.
Oh, I'm not saying he's wrong.
No, yeah, I don't.
I'm just responding to this. He's not wrong. There's so many different minds in our space. Whether you should or should not do a song with a secular artist, whether you should or should not do this or that, right?
Yeah.
The methods we can dispute, but this is just a message back to Joe Budden and Jim Jones and Rick Ross. You know Dee-1 is not wrong. You may think he's doing it the wrong way, but he's not wrong. So he already did it. Let's get over that part. What are you going to do about it?
Nothing.
I think something is going to happen because there's too much of a groundswell. There's too much of a groundswell of support for what Dee-1 is saying.
I will
this
say
to
this.
Just go nowhere.
Is this affecting the old school cats? Because I see a lot of old school people in his comments.
Yes.
Saying, Dee-1, you're right. Keep going.
Yeah, because they know that he's right.
My message to you is, hey, it's too late, bro. You had your chance. What I'm saying is, I'm joking about the too late because it's not. Because if you guys stand up, the old cats stand up and say, you know what, I benefited from this system. I know Dee-1 is right. It's time to fix it.
Yeah.
You're gonna be viewed as the old hater.
Yeah.
But you gotta be willing to do that.
Yeah.
You have to because you know he's right.
Yeah.
You know it.
Yeah.
So what are you gonna do?
That's fair.
But I see that. I ain't gonna say names, but there's a lot of old school hip hop DJs, rappers.
But they're doing what I'm saying Joe needs to do. They're saying,
about to say,
leave him alone. He's safe. He's good. You should be saying
I
that.
get it.
You need people that are relevant
now.
People that are relevant now to say that. Leave him alone. But
what now?
I get what you're saying, like, because I didn't get it earlier.
Oh, you mean what Joe should say?
Yeah, like when he should say, like, yo, leave him alone, meaning like he don't mean no harm about y'all.
Yeah,
He's just basically saying
Joe,
this needs to change.
You know he means no harm.
Yeah.
You know he's right. You have influence. You have influence for the knucklehead cousins to tell them, leave him alone.
But at the same time, he is warning him too.
But the same thing you said, the same thing y'all saying that he Dee-1 should have messaged Jim Jones in private. You should be sending that message to him privately. Bring him on the show. Have the discussion after the show on the balcony. Man to man talk. Hey, be careful. That's what you do.
I don't think
you doing that is egging on that chatter. Stop doing that.
Yeah,
that's it.
He definitely could have handled that in private.
Because to me, I'm like, dude, this isn't as deep as these people are making it. It's just, I think for like kind of I was saying earlier, like on a hip hop video, I just think it comes from that drug dealer mentality of you messing up my bag, so stop talking about it. You dig what I'm saying? Like. Or like the person who called like that concerned neighbor who's bold enough to stand up and say, "Hey, they selling drugs at my corner. Come down here and da da da." Not saying she hates them or he hates them. They're just reporting, "Hey, this is wrong in my neighborhood. I don't want drug dealers on my corner." Right. and people get mad at that person instead of being like, that person is the person who's the witness and calling. It's correct. That's correct. Like, you don't want nobody on your street corner doing that because it brings crime to those neighborhoods.
I think it's not that this is the first time that this has ever been brought up, right? But I think this is catching more traction because, like, he name dropped, Rick Ross, Meek Mill, like he's specifically talking about people. I think in the past people have kind of just blanket statement, and that's what Joe was saying.
Yeah,
of like
statement.
He could have just blanket statement, but I don't think it would have gotten the attention.
Cared.
Right, I don't think it would have gotten the attention that it's getting now that he has actually name dropped them and had these conversations.
I remember the World Star era when Bizzle hit off, right?
Yeah, World Star.
Bizzle talked about Ross. Bizzle talked about Jay-Z, Nicki, and what happened? They left him alone.
Who left him alone?
Jay-Z ain't respond to Bizzle.
Well, you're saying that's what Jim Jones and Rick Ross should have.
That's
did.
what they should. I'm telling you.
If I was their PR, it's too late now. But
Right,
yes.
now you have to address
I would
it.
have been like,
Because you're making it a thing.
Yeah,
Right.
Like he just stating. He sound like for somebody who didn't know he did.
He just sounds like a hater.
But you know,
If you sound like a podcaster or somebody who
Yeah.
claimed to want pure hip hop, I'd be like, man, don't do.
But you know why though? It's because Meek Mill responded. So Rick Ross is trying to defend Meek Mill.
So Meek Mill responded first.
That's what I saw.
Because I saw Rick Ross first. That's what I thought.
I just saw the Rick Ross video.
And then I heard, then I saw Meek Mill. That's
Somebody checked the timeline, but I remember Meek Mill's comment first.
Because I remember Meek Mill comment was the album coming out soon or whatever.
Or people forget that this is how I got to whatever. I thought that came first. And when I saw the Rick Ross video, I thought Rick Ross was just backing up his guy. That's how I took it.
Okay.
I may have the timeline wrong.
I said, I don't know who did it first. I just saw Rick Ross response first.
Yeah, the video that
you know
he
what I
put
mean.
up,
And to me, I'm like, you don't have to say what you do in the
They should have just
neighborhood.
left it alone.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what I'm
they
like.
shoulda just-
I'm confused. If somebody was saying,
Well, thank God they didn't, because it's getting
Well,
the
no, it's
message
a-
out.
oh yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
But what I'm saying is, if somebody says something bad about us, we can look at it like either we respond or we go, man,
It's-
leave that
yeah, it's
person.
whatever.
It is
Yeah.
what- you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think when people are doing stuff in their neighborhood, they want to still seem like good people. So it's like, yo, I'm giving out the bikes, I'm giving out turkeys, I'm giving out pampers,
yeah, I
I'm
get
giving
what
this
you're saying.
stuff.
I
What
get
are you
what you're
talking about? Forget the music. I'm in the community.
Well, that's what Rick Ross was saying. He was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I be giving out turkeys. I be giving out,
That's Frank Lucas mentality.
Yeah.
Like,
Nino
who
Brown,
cares?
yeah.
Who cares? So what?
Yeah.
Why do you think?
Well, I
That,
get-
why does that absolve your sin? Like, why
No,
do you think
because I
turkeys
think
absolve your
because
sin?
I think they think that giving back to the community still shows my humanity and shows me that I care about my community.
But if I take a handful from the community and I give them back 2 cents,
It's like the
you're not
mafia.
you're not giving back. You're taking more than you're giving.
you are, but I mean, from their logic is I'm giving to the community.
Yeah,
I have clothes drive. I have this outlet. I have this nonprofit.
Like,
that
I do what I gotta
I
do.
do what I gotta do.
It's just
to-
bad. It's just
yeah.
bad math. You're costing them more than you're giving them.
yeah.
Well, because inherently,
They
like,
just don't know that.
the
Yeah.
youth are listening to Rick Ross, Meek Mill, right?
Yeah.
And they're ending up in the places that they're trying to say they're promoting not to go to, right? Like, they're trying to say, oh, we're trying to
Yeah.
get people out of jail. We're trying to give people jobs. We're trying to do all this
Yeah.
stuff. But by listening to their music, they're sending them to those places.
I would
So
say
That's why they need the turkey
Yeah,
now.
I would-
Right, yeah, that's why they need help, because they're ending up in prison.
I would say this: 1, continue to lift up Dee-1. 2, also realizing that when you do, and I agree with Joe. Like, if you do talk about people, and like you said, he recently found that out. Like, he talked about somebody, and somebody approached him, and you know what I mean. I don't know if you saw that video about Joe when he talked about some people when they came to a club and he was at a club.
Yeah,
and
yeah. That's what I'm talking
So that's
about.
what I'm saying. That happens
Yeah.
when you're a public figure and somebody
Yeah.
say, "Yo, they go to that D1 kid." Somebody
But bring
you know
him
what I'm
on the
saying?
show and
Right.
tell him that.
Yeah.
Right.
Or DM him and tell him that
Yeah.
versus saying
Or
like,
say it to him while
Yeah.
he's there, so he could respond.
Yeah,
to it.
like a real conversation.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It has to happen at this point.
You think he
He's
is?
going to be on the
Well,
show.
he was just on a Pivot podcast.
He's
D1's
going to
on-
be on the show. Somebody's going to bother Joe enough where he's going to see the value in bringing the kid on. Like it's
Well, if he's
Joe
not
knows
on,
what the
it's
deal is.
yeah.
he knows that
I
that's
would
a
say
big
this:
show.
if D1 gets on the Breakfast Club, he'll be on Joe Budden's podcast. If
Joe's gonna have to get him first.
if Rap Radar gets D1, which is Elliot Wilson and
Joe
them,
needs to hurry up then because he needs to be first.
somebody, I'm telling you, if somebody who he consider peer-to-peer podcasters or somebody he considers competition grabs him, then he's gonna be on
what I'm afraid with that is if he does, then he may be like, oh well, no, they had him, so I'm gonna leave him alone.
I see what you mean.
He needs to jump on it right now. That conversation needs to happen by next week. Hurry up.
Wow.
I hope it happens.
I mean, I was about to say I hope it happens. I think it needs to happen.
Yeah, I'm continuously praying for Dee-1. I just want him to know, like, yo, there's people out there with you doing this. Like you're not by yourself, bro.
Yeah.
And maybe you feel like you can't talk to some of us. You know some of us. You know us. You know people who are in this space that feel just like you are. The Daytons, the Bizzles. You know them, man. Like really chime into your brothers and sisters that's rocking with you. Like even like child like Cece, like her, she go bold for Jesus. Like and she talk about like, you know, stuff about on the woman's side of things. Yeah. So there's people out there, bro. You're not alone. So don't think you're alone in this. You know what I mean? If you feel alone in this, please reach out to people that you know in this space that you've collabed with because they are backing you 100%.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's get back into it. You in the field with the Trackstarz, Ryan Righteous, Sean Tanner, DJ Jeremiah. Let's go.